So, Liam, Aaron McKenna. The only thing I've seen of him is in that Japan prize fighter. Just how much do you rate him on those performances in Japan?
Yeah, I think he's a good fighter coming through, young, hungry, a little bit, being a bit too big for his boots. I think past fights I've heard him saying he's the best middleweight in Britain and all that. Like just before the Japan tournaments and all that, like the most feared middleweight in the world. He was saying at one stage, I couldn't get where he was coming from, but a good fighter, like good game, loves a fight, can box a bit better than his brother. I rate him as a good fighter coming through. Yeah.
With his brother, just on that, he kind of got found out a little bit against Lee Cutler. Do you think maybe a similar thing is about to happen?
100%, yes, I do. Yeah, just like a similar case, just repeats all over. With fights I've had over the past 5 years, maybe Fowler, just people. I get asked all the same questions as well. I get asked all the same questions in the press conference, the fight week. I'll get asked all the same things. It was all asked. A lot got mentioned to Callum last week. People mention age. The fella top of the bill was 41 years of age. Age is a number when, if you're getting old, you're getting old. You can come at 31 years of age. You can come at different ages. But I feel like I'm going to get the same type questions. I've reached the top, or what have I still got? You know what I mean? But yeah, it's down to me to show that I've still got a lot. I've still got a lot left to beat Aaron McKenna.
With that on Callum, he was kind of. Do you know what? I actually feel bad because I was one of the people that maybe doubted him a little, and I felt I should have backed my Liverpool roots, and I should have backed him. Do you think maybe you kind of take a bit of inspiration of I want to prove people wrong, from similar to what Callum did the other week?
Yeah, but I say that it's people. I just kind of need a proof point to myself. I let myself down last time. Through all different circumstances, I let myself down. And I need to just prove I'm back, and that's all I want to prove. Like I said, I'm not going to sit and call all the names I want out, because it gives them a little bit of a pass to say, okay, he doesn't fall for 12 months, he doesn't fall for 14 months. So I think it's very easy once I've won, especially on a bill with Eubank and Ben top of the bill. I think when I win, it gives me a leeway and gives me a pass then to call the winner out, to call the other names out, because then I am back. It's no good me being in the gym, sparring and stuff like that until I get under them lights. And unfortunately, last time out, I had to pull out into Josh Kelly fight. So once I'm back, once I fight, I can announce I'm back properly then.
Is that Josh Kelly fight something you'd maybe consider again, or do you think that's kind of done and dusted now?
I'd consider any fight. I'm a fighter. I've never shied away from anything, certainly not Josh Kelly. I just think no one really, as good as Josh is, I think no one's in a rush to see him. No one's in a rush to pay to watch him. That's why they needed me, really, without being big-headed. That's why they needed a decent rough dance partner to try and announce Josh Kelly on the big scene. Let's have it right. He fought his mill on a couple of days' notice and survived after 4 rounds. Just wanted to hear the final bell.
It's obviously been 12, 14 months, like you said, since you boxed, but you have had that training camp in between. How much do you think inactivity can affect? You're obviously very experienced at this point in your career. Will it have as much of an effect as maybe when you were younger?
I think the experience will play a key part in that. The camp will play a key part in that. Keeping my eye in. I've sparred quite a bit. I've sparred, with Pierce, his last camp. I've kept my eye in. Obviously, it was just unfortunate, 10 days out from the Josh Kelly fight that I got a virus, and it was not an injury. That was the second part. By the time, I think 2 days after the event, I was okay. And I was thinking, should I just run ahead with it? But it was the right decision. I know it was the right decision to pull out of the fight. But no, I don't think ring rust will be a problem, and certainly not with someone with the style of Adam. To be fair to him, he likes to fight. I don't think I have to go looking for Aaron McKenna. And I think the ring rust won't be a factor.
How much do you think your experience in this fight will play a factor? He's not boxed at this level before.
Yeah. Massive. Massive. Just that's one thing I think of him. I think he's still very green. You can do all the sparring in the world, but in there's a different story, different kettle of fish. And I said this with numerous fighters I've had over the years. I boxed Fowler. I said it with him. I said it with after the Fowler fight. I remember an interview I done. Said you can match me with. There was a lot of 154 pounders on that bill. There was JJ Metcalf against Kieran Conway. Cheeseman for True Williamson. I was like, you can match me any one of them. It's a good fight, competitive fight. Spar them all. But just experience, little gloves on. It's a big factor. And the same with Sam Eglinton. I use Sam a lot for sparring. We have very good spars. But put me in the ring with him with fight gloves on and in fight shape with a bit of needle and a bit of adrenaline. It's a different story. And I think experience and know-how will be a big factor with the Aaron McKenna fight.
There was something your brother said in the build-up to the Boazzi fight I quite found interesting. He was like, I've made my money. Like at this point, all I care about is being a two-weight world champion, and if I can't do that, I'll walk away. I was just wondering what keeps you motivated to be in the sport at this point?
There's a lot. I've got two young daughters who I want to give the world to, so that's one. I'd love to be a two-time world champion, two-weight world champion myself too, and I just want to be involved in big fights. And while I feel like I've still got big fights in me, then I'm not going to walk away. And obviously, I haven't made the money Callum made either, so that's also an incentive.
With the middleweight division, we obviously had a big one the other day with Hamsa and Carlos. Is that something you're interested in either of those fighters?
Yeah, look, again, without going over all ground, you can ask George Warren. You never probably get a chance to speak to Tahir Sheikh, but I basically begged for the Hamza fight. I think it was one that I always fancied the Hamza fight. I always thought stylistically was not like Aaron McKenna, but where Hamza likes to fight himself, he likes to fight up close. I always thought stylistically was that's a fight I like. It's a fight I feel like I match up well against Star Wars, but I thought Carlos Adamus fought a good fight. I thought Adamus won it and won it well. But yeah, just again, two good fighters. But like I said, Hamza's the one I've always fancied.
In terms of the world champions at middleweight, it's disrespectful to say like a weak spot, but like you see Lara at 41 years old, and then you see Carlos. They're very winnable fights for you? So are they something do you think will become possible after a victory over Aaron McKenna?
Definitely. Like I said, look, it's very hard and it's very cliche, and it's boxing just to a T for you. Like, I think, if I got matched with a Lara or a Carlos Adamus after I beat Chris, people would have fancied me.
Yeah.
And obviously, because of the Chris match, it's like, no chance I'm a million miles away. It's just, that's boxing for you. I think once I announce I'm back, once I beat Aaron and in good fashion, I think, I'll be back on people's radars and back on people's lips. So it's just all, like I said before, it's easier coming off the back of a win rather than I'm coming off the back of a bit of a shitty 12-18 months. I lost and then I pulled out of the fight. So, my name's at the bottom at the moment. So I have to just get back up there, and it's easy done. I've done it before, and it's easy done. And I feel that how good the fashion I'll beat Aaron McKenna in, I'll announce it.
How much does that Eubank loss hurt you? Because my last amateur fight, I got stopped, and I think about it every night. Just tell me something that, like, how does it bother you? Does it?
Yeah, it bothers, eats away at me. Reading shite, seeing stuff, the way people like just dismiss you, forget about you. People like just the whole thing with Chris. I just think I said all along, Chris Eubank Jr. probably should know the win over me, never mind the stoppage win. I don't feel he's good enough to. I don't feel he punches hard enough to. And like I say, the way he beat me the second time, you can laugh all you want, but I know the issues and I know the reasons. But behind it, again, all this stuff with the Conor Benn situation. Now I'm stepping up 2 weights. You forget, and I stepped up to beat Chris Eubank Jr. I was a 154 pounder, and I took a chance. I took a deal that gave me Chris, and I beat Chris. And the rematch obviously well stated, well documented about me reasons on it. But yeah, it still hurt me, especially because he wasn't really interested in a third fight.
Given, let's say he beats Ben and you beat McKenna, do you think he'd ever accept a third fight?
Yeah, I think he would now because Tehel Sheik's involved and what he says kind of goes, and what he wants usually happens. So it's mostly down to me. I have to win in good fashion, and you have to be involved in a good fight, and that's what I said before regarding Josh Kelly. I don't think, I think Tehel got up and walked away halfway through. I don't think they'll be in a rush to have Josh Kelly back on the bill, and I'm not slagging Josh. I'm just going on about the way Tehel Sheik is and the fights he wants. He grown attached to Mark Chamberlain because he was in good fights. Like, what Josh Kelly's a million, a better fight than Mark Chamberlain. But I'm just saying, he'd rather watch Mark Chamberlain because he comes to fight and involved in good fights. So I just think that's all he's really interested in at the moment. The Riyadh season builds, they just want good fights and wars. So I just have to really win in good fashion, and I think they'll have me back.
With just how you mentioned you stepped up in weight and Conor Benn stepping up 2 weights, I spoke to Tony Sims last week, and they take a lot of confidence going into the fight from your first fight with him. Yeah. Do you think it's less of an issue of them going up in weight than people are making out?
Yeah, I still think obviously Conor's had 2 fights at 154 of late. But yeah, they fully are taking a lot from my fight with him. That's why the fight's at 160 and not 157 again. I know they still put the rehydration clause in, but look, it'd be interesting to see. Obviously, Chris is getting older. Chris is being knocked out now. So they will fancy the chances and there's chinks in the armour now where there wasn't beforehand. So they'll fancy it. I've seen a lot. That keeps loving to mention. I don't know, Conor punches harder than me. I don't care where he's getting that from. At 154. He's had 2 fights at 154. Hasn't budged anyone. Hasn't dropped anyone. He seemed to punch a lot harder at 147 when he was coming through and when all the distinct was involved in a underdog situation. But Conor Benn doesn't punch harder than me at 154. Certainly not. But be realistic about it. 154 is a better fight than Conor Benn, so I don't know why his dad keeps banging on about. Because his dad mentioned me 15 times in 2 press conferences. Conor punches harder than Liam Smith, so if that's what they're going off, then great. But they've changed. It's been 4 rounds, 1 minute, 3 rounds, 2 rounds. Now it's 6. So look, I'm interested to see how it goes. To be honest with you, because I am struggling to pick a winner. I'd pick Chris on points, but I wouldn't be surprised at any outcome.
Just on Conor and it seems like he's kind of lost that power. There's obviously a lot of speculation about that drug test. What is the drug testing on this show? Do you know, is it any different to a normal show?
I don't know. I just think they're both involved at UCAD and Barda's involved. I know Barda's involved at my own because I've just been Barda tested. So I just presume it's UCAD and Barda, but I don't know what their fight is. I don't know.
I wanted to ask you about your brother's fight as well, because again, I'm mortified that I didn't back him, and it does pain me. How impressed were you with Callum, and what more can we see from him? What looks to be next?
Very impressed with him. Obviously, just great to not prove doubters wrong, but just a lot. Like I said before, a lot of questions. A lot of people question his desire, his age. The fella top of the bill was 41. Desire. If that fight doesn't show you desire, then I don't know what desire is. I was just pushing for him to be involved. You don't want many fights like that, but to be involved in it, come out to the top of it, and it was just a great fight with 2 good honest pros.
How kind of gutted are you that in this city everybody dreamed of all of you boxing in Anfield, or maybe just at least you and Callum on the same show? Does it hurt you that you never kind of got that opportunity to do that?
Yeah, it does, because I know Anfield were desperate for the show as well. But it just needs to all swing into place. You need the right fight, you need the right dates. Look, fingers crossed, me and Callum can probably finish in Anfield next year. It depends on this year. It could possibly happen, but fingers crossed.
when we look back on your career, you've had some great nights, and one of my personal favourites was that Fowler night. I've still never been in an atmosphere like that. How special was that to you, maybe when you're done, to look back at that Scouse derby you had?
Yeah, look, when I'm done, and like I say, obviously, I think they're in the middle of like a bit of a programme, the four of us, they've been filming for a couple of years now. Yeah, when we're done, we can sit and we can talk over nights we've had over a 20-year period in the pros, from Paul to Callum. Yeah, Fowler's right up there, atmosphere. You know, just more to get the atmosphere I got, the crowd I got in a Scouse derby, which was meant to be 50-50, was frightening. Yeah, that was one that was right up there for me. But like I say, I've had loads. You know, Eubank won, Canelo. You know, it's hundreds to Texas. Yeah, unbelievable.
You and your brothers obviously were like the pinnacle of Liverpool boxing. Everybody looked up to you. And another man who's kind of taking it on now is Nick Ball. Just wanted to get maybe your take on him. What do you think of him as a fighter?
Yeah, great little fighter. Just think his attributes are perfect for his style. You know, I think they'll probably tell you. I think there's, even in his own gym, I think there's probably a couple of them with a little bit more ability and talent than him, but just his work ethic, his attributes to his style. You know, he's small for the weight, obviously huge in thickness and muscle, but you know, he's small but solid, compact, absolutely fit as a fiddle. His work rate's phenomenal, and I just think everything he's got plays into his style perfectly.
What do you think he can achieve? Obviously, he arguably should be unified champion. He's already a world champion. Do you think, you know, there's rumours of him fighting a new way in December? What can he do in the sport?
Yeah, obviously, I think at that weight, I think he can do great things. I think, you know what, again, I'll be honest with you, I thought the Vargas one was close, could have went either way. And probably the same with the Ford one. I thought he just edged it. So he got the rub of the green on one, he didn't get the rub of the green on the other. Made up for him being world champion, and he can easily go and unify. He can you know, go and beat Ray Vargas, and but yeah, there's just, I think there's well to do there. He's young enough. He can unify that division. I don't know how he does the weight, whether he can go back down or go. He's going to struggle because of height wise to go through the weights, you know. But I think he just needs to try and nick a few world titles, you know, win one, unify. Win another one, I mean, like unify the division. Don't know, give one up, challenge again. He's young enough to keep doing it, and try and wait for a massive fight with a new way or something like that. Obviously, they're the fights he's probably in boxing for, and they're the fights you want, because you know you want the paydays and the accolade that come with that fight.
How do you think a fight with a new way goes?
You have to can't look anywhere else but a new way. He's special. He's a special fighter. I think Nick will do well. You know, I don't really want to put it because it's not made, and it's probably a long way off. But you know, anyway, he's a special fighter. You know what I mean, special.
I've got to ask you about Canelo as well. Do you think he's maybe a little bit different from the fighter you thought? He doesn't really stop anyone these days. Has he maybe lost that killer instinct?
Yeah, I do think he's slowing a little bit, but he's also going through the weights. Like I said before, Conor Benn. Canelo's a big puncher at 154, probably massive puncher at 160 as well. 168 and 175 is a totally different story. You're fighting naturally bigger men. He's smaller than me, Canelo. I know he's a lot thicker, but he's smaller than me. Yeah, and you can't really knock them, because I said before, that's why I can't have a pound for pound argument, because if they all stayed at the natural weights and didn't dare to be great, then is Lomachenko the best? Like, Lomachenko is probably a feather stroke super featherweight. Nobody touches him at that weight. If Canelo stays at 160, nobody beats Canelo at 160. You know, if Crawford stays at 147 now, he's proved he's the best, beating Earl Spence. And just if fighters stay at the natural weight, it's a different argument. But you know, Canelo only lost to Bivol because it was a step too far, too big. You know what I mean? He's never ever a 175. If Crawford goes on to lose to Canelo, it's because he's now a 168. It's just And that's why them type arguments that are hard to have for me.
How do you think a Crawford fight goes with him?
I just think Canel's just too big, too solid, walk him down. Same what he done to like Charlo. Just think Canelo competitive early on, but you see him with Crawford and Madrimov. Crawford's strength and that didn't really play a factor. And Canelo's a bigger, stronger, better fighter than Madrimov. So
with him in the discussions with Jake Paul, do you think he's maybe looking at the end now? Maybe he's looking at maybe a route out of the sport?
No, because then he's just done the 4 fight or whatever it was with Riyadh season and Sheikh El Sheikh. So, I'm not 100% sure. So, yeah.
Oh, I really appreciate that, Lee. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah.